Hello YouTube, this is Evie, and here's one final story to set you off for tonight. Now this story happened to me growing up in my home. I live in a rather old home, and it was built by my grandfather's great-grandfather. The house had been moved at one point. It used to be on what is now part of a highway. Before the highway came in, the cemetery was extremely extensive. I think that they may have just removed the headstones when they put the highway in. And where the house stands now, I'm not quite sure, but I think that might be over a cemetery as well. So, without further ado, here's the story. When I was young, I got left home often because I wasn't a very social child. I didn't feel like going out and seeing all the crazies that were outside. I was happy to just sit at home in my pajamas, watching SpongeBob and eating popcorn with the cats. Now, I used to sleep in my grandmother's room with her because I had nightmares as a child. I still have nightmares. But the way that my grandmother's bed is that it faces the TV, the door is to the right, and there is her closet beside the TV. On her closet is a mirror. From the bed, you can see clearly the reflection of yourself in the mirror. So I was sitting there munching on popcorn, cats next to me. The cats all leave. I don't really pay much attention to it because cats come and go as they please. They're going to do whatever the hell they want. But I glance into the mirror when I hear someone say, "Evelyn." And looking in the mirror, I see this hideous woman. Her flesh is burnt and decayed and nasty. Her hair is oily, thin, stringy, and her nails are gnarled and filthy. She's wearing this faded, burnt pink dress, and she's reaching towards me. So, of course, I bolt, because what little kid is going to sit there and let that thing touch them? Running down the hallway, I turn and run down the stairs. My grandmother's room's on the 3rd floor. Now, at the bottom of the stairs, there is a light fixture, much like that one, except a little more decorative because that's the main floor of the house. As I get under it, it falls, missing me by about that much. Had it hit me, I would either be knocked out or dead. I run into my grandfather's room, grab the pistol that he keeps in the dresser drawer, sit on his bed clutching it with the safety off. My grandfather taught me how to shoot, and I was going to blow the head off of whatever the hell was in my house. As I sit there shaking, all the electronics start to go on and off. The windows start banging open and shut, the shutters, the blinds, the curtains, the dresser drawers, the closet door, and the door to the room itself. I'm freaking out, as anyone would, when the door just slams open and there's this guy standing there, growling. I'm panicking because this guy has red eyes, fangs, claws. You know, he looks like your stereotypical hiding in your closet monster. But then my grandparents pull in. He hisses and disappears. Everything stops and settles down. So, for about 3 months, I do not let them leave the house without me. But after those months, nothing else happens, and I slowly start to forget. And about a year or so later, I finally get my first cell phone. And me being the genius I am, I left it in the living room when I went upstairs to get dressed. So, I come down the stairs, the dog's waiting for me, and we walk into the living room to get my phone because I'm expecting a call from a friend. As I get into the living room, I see this figure sitting hunched over at the end of the coffee table. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Death Note, but if you are, the way L sits, that's pretty much how this guy was sitting. But it was a completely black figure, like pitch black, like looking into your closet from your bed in the dead of night on a new moon, black. And it has these red eyes that are just boring into me. I grab my cell phone, which is right next to the living room door, and run into the dining room, which is connected to the living room. this thing just sort of teleports in front of me. It grabs my wrist. The dog's barking and growling at it. I am trying to get it to let the hell go of me. And the dog just sort of bites it. But it looks like the dog's muzzle just goes right through. But the thing lets go of me. I run into my grandfather's room, yet again, pulling out the pistol. Everything's starting to become more familiar to me at this point, and it starts doing exactly what it did before. Doors slamming, windows slamming, drawers, the electronics going on and off. I start panicking because I know my grandparents aren't supposed to be back for a good while still. I flip the safety off and point the gun at the door, because that's, where I'm assuming anything's going to come from. My assumption in this case was correct. So, I decide that whatever it is, I'm shooting first and asking questions later. I don't get the chance to because that thing just appears in the doorway. The same creature I saw when I was younger. And I'm honestly terrified. I freeze up. And he looks at me and says, "It's time to come home." I'm panicking. Like, just absolutely flat out panicking. And as he starts coming closer, my grandparents, yet again, pull into the driveway, apparently coming home early. He hisses and disappears. That was the last time I saw this guy. But over the years, I noticed there's a scar on my wrist. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it's right on the right wrist, right above the vein. I never saw this guy again. But since then, I've always kept a wary eye. I know that there's something evil in my house. And I know one day it's gonna come for me. Good night, kitties.